This is the Google Pixel 10a. It's a good phone for a good price, but should you buy it? I've had a chance to play around with it for about a month now, and I have some thoughts. Let's ramble.
Hold up, things go wild when I pull up. They all on me like they want some.
Hey guys, what's up? You may have noticed that I wasn't overly excited in the introduction of this video, and that's because the Pixel 10a isn't a very exciting phone, to be honest. But as weird as this might sound, that could actually be its strength. In fact, this could very well be the best mid-range phone of this year, and for the average consumer, that's perfect. But we'll get to that in a minute. Now, if you're coming from a Pixel 9a and you're here because you're wondering whether it is worth the upgrade, let me save you some time, it's not. I may be shooting myself in the foot here by saying it this early on in the video, but I just want to be upfront with you guys. The 10a is basically a 9a in a new jacket. Sure, there are some minor upgrades, but I doubt they'll convince you to swap your 9a for this device. Last year, the camera bump was reduced to being almost invisible, right? Well, this year on the Pixel 10a, it is really invisible. I mean, there's literally no camera bump, zero whatsoever, which means there is no table wobble whatsoever. I mean, it just doesn't move. And that's nice. And if you like to carry your phone in your pockets, for instance, it's also very pleasant. It makes carrying it around a lot easier, a lot less bulky. Now, as somebody who's using an iPhone as their primary device, I can really appreciate that. But if you're already using a 9a, it's probably not going to impress you much. It does come in some new colors. We've got Fog, Obsidian, which is essentially black and white, and then we have a lavender and a berry if you prefer a little splash of color. My review unit is the lavender one, obviously, and Google also sent me this lavender case, which matches it perfectly, and as you can see, it looks really nice. And I would definitely recommend using a case on this thing because as nice as it may feel in the hand without one, this is a aluminum chassis. It's recycled aluminum to be precise, and we all know how easy it is to scratch and dent aluminum. The back of this phone is still made of this composite, this plasticky material. The glass, on the other hand, got a little upgrade. It is now made of Corning Gorilla Glass 7i, so you may get away with not using a screen protector. It's supposed to be very strong and very durable, although no screen is of course ever 100% scratch resistant, so that is of course your own choice. Now, the bezels on the 10a are also a bit thinner, but let's be honest, they're still pretty chonky. I mean, compared to other modern phones, those bezels do make the phone look a little dated. Specs wise, the display will be very similar to the 9a. You've got your 6.3-inch 1080p display with a 60 to 120 Hz refresh rate. It is slightly brighter than last year's phone. The phone has the same Tensor G4 chip, which is no Snapdragon of course, but it's an okay chip. It's still got 8 GB of RAM, the same 2 storage options, 128 GB for the base model and 256 GB if you want to upgrade. It's got the same IP68 rating and the same 5100 mAh battery. Google now rates that battery at 30 hours for regular use, which of course needs to be taken with a big grain of salt. It all depends on the type of user you are, but I think it's safe to say that this thing will get you through the end of the day, and that's really all that matters, because if you don't charge your phone at night, I don't think we can be friends. Google does offer an extreme power saving mode, which can deliver up to 120 hours of battery life, and that can be super useful if you're traveling, for instance, and you don't have access to a power source for some time, but you don't want to turn off your phone entirely. I really do appreciate that feature. I kind of like the idea of having that extra headroom when you need it. It is advertised to charge a little faster, but we're talking a couple of watts here, nothing that I think you will actually notice in day-to-day use. Also note that the Pixel 10a does not have Pixel Snap, which, if you're new to Pixel phones, is the Google equivalent basically to Apple's MagSafe. So yeah, not sure why Google decided to omit this from the 10a, but it is what it is. Another thing that has remained unchanged is the camera system. We still get that 48 megapixel rear camera and a 13 megapixel for the ultra wide camera. There's no zoom lens on the 10a, so don't expect this to be your next concert phone, but the ultra wide does double as a macro lens, which does get some pretty nice results. Personally, I care more about the ultra wide than I do about the zoom, and I do like to take macro shots as well. You know, I am guilty of taking those Instagram food pictures, and they do look great, you know, taken with a macro lens, but I know a lot of you guys like your zoom lenses, so that is some important information to know. There is a digital zoom up to 8x, but that does come at a loss of quality, of course, and the further you zoom in, the worse the image gets. With that said, I do really love the image quality on Pixel phones. I think the phone camera on these devices is one of the main reasons why I would personally buy a Pixel. They've always been great, and the 10A is no exception. Pixels are not necessarily known for their excellent video quality. You've got your 4K image quality on the front and the rear cameras, but yeah, the Pixel is definitely a photo-first device in my opinion. Now, the cameras do have a bunch of AI features, and AI and software more generally is really where the Pixel 10a sets itself apart from other budget to mid-range phones. For the camera, for instance, Google introduced this new feature called Camera Coach, which is basically a built-in tutor that will guide you towards taking better pictures. Now, if you're an experienced shooter, that will probably just annoy you and you might want to not use that. But if you're a beginner or a casual photographer, you might actually find that very helpful. Auto Best Take is another feature unique to this phone, and what that does is it will take a bunch of your group photos, takes everybody's best version of their face, for instance, and then it sort of stitches that together into one perfect photo, if you will. Now, if you're not coming from a Google Pixel 9a, maybe this is your first Google phone altogether, there are definitely some really cool features that deserve mentioning and that make this phone a pretty compelling option in that mid-range. First of all, the assistant on this phone is none other than Google Gemini. Now, if you're used to something like the incredibly useless and slightly retarded Siri, this is a massive step up. And this is not some restricted or watered down version of Gemini either. You can have a full-blown conversation with Gemini live. You can have it use your camera and answer questions about the stuff you're looking at, all in real time.
Hey Gemini, I'm recording a video. How can I get these nice people to subscribe to my channel?
One effective way is to clearly ask them in the video, often towards the beginning or end. You can also mention the benefits of subscribing, like seeing more of your content or not missing any new videos. Is there a specific point in your video you're planning to do this?
Right about now.
And of course, you get all of the other Google AI goodness like Circle the Search, which lets you look up pretty much anything by simply drawing a circle around it. And a big one for me personally is that the Pixel 10a comes with Nano Banana baked in. And if you don't know, Nano Banana is an incredibly powerful image generator, which also does a fantastic job at altering or improving your own images. But for simple photo edits, you won't even have to look that far. You can just go into Google Photos and literally tell it what you want edited, and Gemini will do it for you. And of course, all the things we already know and love like Magic Eraser, Add Me, they're all here. And this is where this phone is starting to look like a very good deal at a starting price of just $499. It might not be the best in terms of hardware, but you will be getting a true Google-powered phone with all the software and AI bells and whistles. And by the way, that also includes all the calling features like call screening, call recording, Hold for Me, which I personally love. Hold for Me is a feature that lets you get off your phone whenever you're being put on hold. And as soon as you're off hold, as soon as an operator is ready to talk to you, you get a notification so you know when to grab your phone and talk to the actual person. Really, in terms of software, no compromises were made. The feature that really took me by surprise though is Satellite SOS, which means you will always be able to send a signal even when you're hiking somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and that is a feature I did not expect on a phone in this price range. So guys, let me try and summarize my thoughts. If you already own a Pixel 9a, I would say you can easily sit this one out, you won't be missing much. If you don't own a 9a and you're on a bit of a budget but you need a new phone, I would still probably recommend getting the 9a since you're basically getting a phone that is 95% the same as this at a discounted price. But if you're new to Google phones, maybe you're coming from another Android or maybe you own something like an iPhone 16e in that kind of range and you're ready to try something new, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this Pixel 10a and all of its features. And like I said at the start of this video, it's a good phone for a good price that will do a great job for the average user. Let me know in the comments, would you give this phone a go? Appreciate you guys watching. See you in the next one.